So, welcome back. I don't know why I put my hands up every time, but I feel like I have to now. Yeah, it's the Jared and Todd show. Todd and Jared show. Todd and the
No, we have
Pod.
we have a new title.
Jared and the Bear. Todd Pod. What's the new? Do you have a different title? Oh yeah, this the week that was. What was the catchy title?
Oh, God damn it, Jeremy.
We'll get it next time. Something like about the week that we missed or the week that was. There's actually a Broadway play that's like that. Have you ever heard of that?
No, but this could be a great way to drum up controversy if we get sued by them for trademark infringement.
I saw it a couple years ago. It's a pretty cool show. It's like a whole year of events into a week or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it's just like our podcast. But welcome back. Thank you. Sorry for the long intro. It's July 23rd. Another beautiful day. Todd is officially a Tar Heel for like 2 weeks now. He's already changing. He's already moderate. He's not Democrat or liberal or Republican anymore. He's just in the middle, North Carolina, the way it should be. All right, I'm going to start us off with Democrats suck, just because, I don't know, Democrats suck. Gotta bring this up. Basically, this pissed me off this week, and everything kind of related to these policies has kind of pissed me off. But a few months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, Joe Rogan said something about the vaccine, saying, and honestly, not even saying anything like too crazy, I don't think. There are some people who say things that are like, I probably wouldn't say that. But he basically said, if you're a healthy, young person, I wouldn't be too, he said, if I were a healthy young person, I wouldn't be too worried about COVID. It's not like that dangerous for young, healthy people. I might not agree with that, or I feel like, yeah, but you should still get the vaccine for whatever reason, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. He got slammed for saying that.
Yes, he did.
Absolutely slammed. And honestly, his response I thought was really good too. He basically said, I'm an idiot. I don't know why anyone even listens to me. He said, I'm just bringing up what I think, which I think is a pretty fair response. He didn't say you should definitely do this or anything like that. This week, the White House brings in Olivia Rodrigo.
Who's that?
Yeah, she's actually, I like her songs. She's like, I feel like her first album was Taylor Swift level, but for a first album, that's possible. You got to follow it up with 2 or 3 more albums of that level to really solidify yourself as really good. But whatever, she's a singer. Who is she? Why is she going to the White House telling people to get the vaccine? Why do people say, Joe Rogan, you need to shut up, stay in your place, but then pay this little girl with no experience at all? At least Joe Rogan talks to scientists. He's not a scientist, but he talks to them. He brings up very, very influential, very successful, very important people onto his show. He has some kind of knowledge about it. That makes no sense to me. What do you think?
I mean, so basically that she's like a pop star and they're trying to get her to help push to get people vaccinated, right? Like, here's the thing I've never gotten, and I think it's, I forget if it was, I don't know if it was Michael Jordan. It was some basketball star. I feel like at one point was like, I'm not your child's role model. Like, I'm not to be looked up to. And it's like, in that vein, it's like, Jeremy, have you ever made a decision ever in your life where you're like, oh, wow, the celebrity came out and said I should do this, like invest in T-bonds or like diversify your portfolio. And you're like, oh, that's a great idea.
I think the only thing probably is starting a podcast, because Gary Vee like 5 years ago said like podcasts are going to be big.
But Gary Vee's like a entrepreneur, and his whole thing is like, I'm giving advice. Like, it's like, is there ever been some, like, bobbleheaded celebrity who's like said something and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, that is a great idea, I should do that? Like, I wish there was some way to do a study on if these sorts of like advertisements and campaigns actually move the needle.
Well, I think they do. I think that's like kind of why they do it, which is just bizarre to me. That people, it's bizarre to me on so many levels. The fact that someone will not get the vaccine but then sees Olivia Rodrigo at the White House and goes, oh, now it's a good idea, makes no sense to me. But also, like, I just get upset a little bit or frustrated that, like, how can people say Joe Rogan is an idiot, he shouldn't talk about science, and then literally a month later have someone who with even less stature than Joe Rogan giving this advice?
Yeah, it's again, it's like the dumbing down of our society that I feel like we've talked about a lot, and just being like, where are we? What's going on here? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. It, like, honestly, I feel like a far more effective campaign would be, frankly, like finding people that were vaccine hesitant that ended up getting really, really, really sick and were like, I wish I'd gotten the vaccine.
They're doing that actually.
No, I know they are. To
There's a
me,
couple
like,
articles today I saw just like that.
yeah, and if I wasn't vaccinated, but then started seeing a string of people that were like my age, my sort of demo, my, like, not skinny, sort of healthy body type, and it's like, hey, I didn't get the vaccine, I got COVID, and I got effed up by it for a solid 2 weeks, and now, like, I really wish I'd gotten the vaccine. Like, that would make me think more than like Olivia Rodrigo or Joe Rogan or anyone saying anything about it.
Yeah, I know you can't like penalize people, and I don't like the idea of like incentivizing too much. But what I would probably do or like to do is like you get the vaccine, you get 6 months of free healthcare, because then it's like that's related at least. Beer or giving beer or candy or whatever, it's like that's actually like contradictory or counter effective.
I mean, well, that was the funny thing too, because it's like everyone knew that one of the danger signs, or like being obese and being unhealthy, was a bad thing of COVID. And so it's like now we've got Krispy Kreme giving away free donuts if you got a vaccine card. You got all these other like places giving you like free beer and all this other stuff. And it's like, look, all well and good, fine, but like it just seems weird. It just seems strange. And like, look, if Olivia Rodrigo wants to move the needle, it should be like, we're going to have a nationwide lottery, and 10 people who get vaccinated in the next month will get like backstage passes to a show. Like, that could work.
Right.
Because they've shown that these vaccine lotteries, whether it's for money or in West Virginia for guns and trucks, like this works. If someone's neutral about the vaccine, they're like, oh, you mean I can get a shotgun or a truck or a backstage pass to Olivia Rodrigo's concert? Yeah, F it. I'll go get a shot. Like, so I don't know. It just seems we're just in weird times.
Makes no sense. Let's hear what you have to say about the Republican side.
Oh man! So keeping in the vein of vaccines, and so apparently about half. Let me see what the exact headline was. I think it's nearly half of House Republicans won't even say whether or not they're vaccinated. Basically, it says about half of House Republicans won't even say whether they are vaccinated or not. Like, they take this like offended position of like, that's a very personal question. Like, why would you ask me that? And it's like, look, I agree on some level that it's a personal piece of information that if you don't want to share, fine. Like, I get it. But if you're an elected member of Congress and you're an elected official, and we as a country, and frankly, we haven't decided, we know that getting vaccines is going to be key to sort of getting this thing under control and getting back to a more normal society. Like, these people need to take a responsibility. And look, if they, and one of two things. One, if you've been vaccinated, just fucking say it. Just say you've gotten vaccinated and encourage other people to do it. And two, if you haven't, if you're going to be someone who doesn't want to have the vaccine, at least have the balls to stand by your principles and just say it.
Right.
Like, eat crow, eat the consequences, and do it. And
a lot of people from Fox News who were bashing it the last couple of weeks are now promoting it as of like 2 days ago. Did you see that?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that I also don't get, because you had, Ron DeSantis, who is basically considered like basically a less offensive version of Trump, but, big right-wing populist, big Republican, front runner potentially for the Republican nomination. And he recently came out and was like, look, the vaccine is great. It saves lives and more people need to get it. And then today I also saw the governor of Alabama, which no one's going to look at Alabama and be like, oh, Alabama, the paragon of progressiveness in science. and she came out and was like, look, we need to get vaccinated. Like, you need to do this. And I just think it's so dumb that the Republicans are playing this sort of game at a national level of being like, not anti-vax, but not pro-vax, and just trying to, I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand these. And it's like, because at some point, I think it's going to make you look dumb. It's going to make you look stupid. And if nothing else, it's just silly. I mean, you have Matt Gaetz, a guy who has been accused of being a pedophile, allegedly. And he's getting offended that someone on CNN is asking whether he was vaccinated or not. It's like, yo, bro, like if anything, why don't you just be like, yes, I was vaccinated. Remember, let's forget about the part where I was potentially hitting on a 17-year-old via text. Like maybe do something to deflect some attention. But it's just silly. And look, I was someone, I think the whole vaccine thing, the way it was rolled out, and primarily the fact that these companies have complete liability protection from it in case if you do die or if you do get sick, I don't like it. Mm-hmm. And look, make no mistake, for Big Pharma, this was like the best thing ever for them. It's because everyone's like, oh, the shot's free. No, it's not. It's just we collectively as a society via our taxes are buying it from them. Right. And the best customer in the world is the government because they have like no oversight, unlimited money, and they will just throw money at problems. So if you're J&J and AstraZeneca or Pfizer, you're loving this. And that's why, you know, all this talk of like boosters and everything else too, it's like, oh, wait, you mean the company that stands to make a ton of money if we need a booster is saying we might need a booster?
Yeah.
My mind is blown.
Yeah,
whoever can see that coming. But it's just, I don't know. I just wish that on something this important for a literal, like, hopefully once in a lifetime event, that we could at least get on the same page as a country and at least just be like, and it seems like things are coming around, like you said, with Fox News is starting to change it. Oh, and that was hilarious. I don't know if you saw it, but Fox News basically instituted their own vaccine passport system.
Way.
Yeah, which it got leaked, and everyone's like, "Well, this is weird."
Yeah, and so that makes no sense. What was that for?
I think probably for just like getting around inside the building and or being able to go to like, you know, internal events or something. I'm not sure, but I didn't really go into details on it. But I just feel like it's unfortunate that because, you know, I feel like a lot of times the left gets pointed at for like, oh, you're just virtue signaling. You don't really care about this. You're just posting on Instagram to make yourself look cool in front of your followers, blah, blah, blah. But like Republicans do it as well, but they do it in this way of like, well, you know, the vaccine, it was rushed and it's not approved. And it's like, yeah, but I'm sure you lined up and got your shot as fast as you could because you didn't want to die of coronavirus because you're like a, you know, salty old senator from wherever the fuck.
Yeah.
So I just wish we could just talk, just be open and honest and like not have to worry about being like, oh, it's Jim Bob from my district who thinks there's a microchip in 5G and the shot's going to be upset if I get it. Like, fuck him.
Yeah, it makes no sense. I thought a little related, semi-related, but I saw it was pretty funny. At the Olympics, the Olympic protocol is basically just assume the Americans aren't vaccinated. And it's like, that's just hilarious. Pretty ridiculous, though. Speaking of ridiculous, my horrible or hilarious or whatever, it's mostly hilarious. I mean, not hilarious, it's mostly horrible. There's not too much to say about it, although I feel like it's kind of the beginning of it's gonna be like this for a while. But in California, there's obviously there's a drought as always. I feel like a couple years ago there wasn't a drought, but obviously it's back. There's like an extreme drought, and there's people stealing water from each other, and like drilling into the pipelines and like diverting water and this and that, which sounds pretty horrific. Like that's nothing to really joke about. Water is like the most essential thing everyone needs. I guess what I'm thinking though, or what's horrible, even more horrible about it, is I feel like that is something that's going to be more and more common. We talk about like water shortages all the time. We actually have an abundance of water in America compared to everywhere else in the world. Like the fact that we can turn on our faucet and leave it on for 30 minutes and not really like go bankrupt is insane. Most of the world is very conscious of how much water they take in or use because it's very costly. Most of the water in the world isn't nearly as safe to drink as in America. There's so many good things about like the water system in America, and if that starts crumbling, which I feel like it's been doing, and it's probably going to just do progressively faster and faster, it's not a good situation.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And this also, I think, highlights, again, just like governments not being good at what they're supposed to do. It's especially in California. They live on the Pacific Ocean. They could have been building massive desalination plants decades ago.
Yep.
Because Yeah, exactly. Like, and it's, is it cheap? No, but as you said, water is basically the most important resource we have. And the other thing is too, it's like you go to places like in Hollywood and in Las Vegas, and you see all these like lush green lawns and palm trees and high water demand plants that are completely unnatural
Yep.
for this habitat and that require insane amounts of water to be able to keep up. And it's like, look, man, you can get some succulents and some nice rock gardens and have a very nice aesthetic that actually matches the climate you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because I just feel like, when the population of America was only 150 million people, it's like, yeah, use all the water you want. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to run out. But now with how many people we have, with climate change, with everything else going on, like, the Hoover Dam or Lake Mead, I think is the lake they use for water. I think they even schlep it all the way out to Los Angeles, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that thing could run dry. It's like, is it likely? No, but if we keep just completely wastefully using water, it's not going to be a good thing. And so I think we need to look at the consumption side and how we're doing it, and also look at finding more supplies. Because, and that's the thing I don't get. It's especially, super liberal California. Obviously, they're big on climate change. They passed their own state legislation fighting it. They understand that droughts are going to get more intense, that wildfires and all this stuff. And yet they haven't taken concrete steps to say, how can we increase our supply of water? And it just seems incredibly short-sighted.
No, I definitely agree. And then just interesting, at the same time that's happening in Belgium, Germany, and China, they have like massive flooding, probably the worst they've like ever seen, which is
That's been crazy.
It's interesting to see that contrast. But that's all for water. Water wars are on their way.
100%.
Yeah, and that's gonna be some wild times.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
What do you got for us, baby?
All right, so doing a little crypto corner. I saw yesterday that Elon Musk, again, the crypto manipulator in chief, has come out and talked about what his crypto holdings were. So he said that he holds Bitcoin, which we already knew because we knew he held it through Tesla and I think his space company, SpaceX. But he said he personally held Bitcoin and also Ethereum and Dogecoin. And one of the quotes that he had, and you can just see Elon delivering this with like his little like weird smirk that he has. He says, I might pump, but I don't dump. And it's like, yeah, you don't, but everyone else ride these waves when you tweet out like Dogecoin, Rocket, Moon, Diamond Hands. And then everyone's like, yes. And then 2 days later, everyone's selling it off. And so it's just like,
that's a great example of the first segment we talked about of listening to just celebrities just to listen to celebrities.
Well, to be fair, Elon Musk is more than just a celebrity. Like he's actually done something.
Yeah, true. But like, why buy Bitcoin just because Elon says buy Bitcoin? You should buy Bitcoin for like.
I mean, I think it's because people feel like Elon Musk is the combination of like some man sent to us from the future or like an alien that just like isn't real.
I mean, he probably is.
Look, it's highly possible, or he's like a high-level programmer as part of the simulation, and he has decided to plug himself into his own creation.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I think this raises the bigger question because, like, all this stuff is legal because there are no laws around sort of manipulating crypto or anything like this because it's completely unregulated. And I know we've talked about this before, but like, do you think we would be better off with some level of regulation around crypto, maybe around some of these things about manipulation, just like that? Like, or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, kind of, but at the same time, like, I think the situation would solve itself over time by itself. Some people would lose a lot of money, but it would solve itself. I feel like regulation could help it, but it would have to be done. I don't know what the best policy would be. It'd have to be done very well and like the right way. I feel like too likely a chance that the policy that's made would end up just making the situation worse. It'd make it centralized, or it'd make it even more manipulative because people are in control or whatever.
Well, and that's also it. It's like, do I think if we could have regulations created by smart people that were like benevolent, yeah, that'd be great, but it's not. It's going to be assholes in Congress that are probably looking at like well, how can I write this rule in a way that's going to let me cash in on this, just like they do with publicly traded companies and stocks and everything
like
else?
Robinhood. You'll have a situation like Robinhood where the hedge funds are going to end up fighting the little guys and taking advantage and whatever.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know. I think we're currently in the middle of sort of the wild west of crypto, and I'm sure by the time you and I are old men, it will not be like this anymore. And I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I think unfortunately governments are making plans to restrict everything right now, and they're just waiting till everything's in line to do it. So I started seeing they're trying to get information from crypto wallets now. So they've been getting information from crypto exchanges for the last couple of years, which, like, if you're on any exchanges, you'll probably see some exchanges will email you saying, like, you have 2 months to give KYC before we, like, freeze your funds or whatever.
Hold on, what's KYC?
Know your client, anti-money laundering policy. So, like, Binance had it done. All the big exchanges now have, kind of like Bittrex, Polyonyx, whatever. KuCoin hasn't yet, which is part of the reason why I like KuCoin most.
Is that part of the process where, like, you have to, like, upload a picture of your driver's license or passport or whatever? Oh, wow. I just assumed every exchange did that, but you're saying KuCoin, you can still just go in as, like, a nameless, faceless, just whatever.
Exactly. So there might be, like, limits on how much you can cash out at a time, but yeah, you can go in there just completely anonymously. Eventually that's going to change, but now software wallets that are just on your computer are now being, like, asked by the government if they can start requiring that information as well, which, like, is not good, but at the same time, like, I don't think the government realizes that they can't control this. If they get the information from the wallets, there's going to be more wallets that come out, and basically they're just going to make it so you can't become too big. But someone can just create a wallet in 10 minutes. I don't know how, but they can do it, where they get the big wallets to give KYC, and 100 people are going to come out with a new wallet for you to just move it over to. It's going to be just a game of, like, cat and mouse.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting, because I think there are definitely I assume that there are people that use crypto a lot more than a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I own crypto basically just like an investment. I'm sitting on it. I don't do anything with it, but I'm sure there are people that really, it's an integrated part of their lives. Maybe they're dabbling in some gray or black markets, and, you know, people that are just sort of like the off the grid types, and they're like the Unabomber equivalent, except online. They're living in, like, a shack in the forest, but on their computer, and it's just, you know, completely trying to, like, remain as anonymous as possible. And I think we're entering strange times. I feel like it's going to be harder and harder to be able to pull that off in the digital age, and it will be interesting to see how the government tries to regulate this, because we know that they're going to try to make the money off it. There's no way they're going to let all this money fly around without getting their taste.
Definitely, and we saw in Cuba that the government can just turn the internet off if they really want to. So people think that they can get away, but the government's fucking powerful.
Yes, no, absolutely. They are the most powerful.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But yeah, so I think that's all I got.
I have to tutor in a minute, which will be pretty fun if he just pops in here, and we'll hear his intake. Who knows? Maybe a 6th grader might have a lot of good insights into crypto.
What are you working on with him?
So actually, we do some crypto together. We do math. We do just general 6th grade math, but I teach him some crypto, and I, like, give him crypto as a prize if he, like, does well or whatever, and he understands crypto better than most adults, 100%.
But, like, what I meant is, like, what do 6th graders work on in math? Is this, like, algebra or geometry?
Yeah, we're doing, like, equations, like how much money he'll have in his bank account if he makes this much a week, and he has this much to start. And, like,
very cool.
One will pass. Yeah, it's fun. Keeps me young.
Yes, absolutely, man. All right, well, it's been cool. It's been great.
It's been real. A pleasure as always, Todd. I will talk to you soon. Much love. Thank you. This was the week that was, or something like that. We'll have the title next time. Thanks, brother. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace.